Hey guys, Impulse191 here, welcoming you to this video that was inspired by KingWalrein from PokeAmino. I recommend that if you have PokeAmino that you go and check him out. You can find him on a random search, or you can find him from the people that I'm following on there. He's a cool guy and he deserves a little bit of recognition. As you can see, there are 18 boxes, each one for my favourite type. So I'm just going to go through them with the Pokemon that I like best from each type, including their nicknames, maybe a little bit of information about each one, and then competitive status. So without further ado, let's move on into the first one. My favourite bug type is Fortress. I've always called this Pokemon Beatstick, which was pretty random. I don't know why I came up with the name. As like many of my names, it just came to me on a whim. Fortress is a really cool Pokemon. I've always liked its design. I think the colours go really nice with it, and he kind of looks kind of derpy and lost, but either way he's pretty awesome. He's got two solid abilities in Sturdy and Overcoat. Sturdy allowing it to survive any move from full HP, and Overcoat giving it immunity to powder moves such as Stun Spore, Sleep Powder, and also hail and other weather effects. Its stats are really nice too. Its stats are nice too, having good HP and defense, and it's able to learn a number of cool moves such as Toxic Spikes, Stealth Rocks. It can also have recovery through Pain Split. It has Volt Switch for Swish Initiative, and can Rapid Spin and Explosion. Moving on. My favourite dark type is Umbreon. Umbreon's got a special place to me because of Silver. I always call it Zama, and I prefer the shiny sprite. Way back when in Silver, when I didn't even know that there were two new evolutions, I was randomly training up my Eevee, and to my surprise, it happened to evolve at night time. Obviously it went into Umbreon, and I was genuinely shocked. I thought it had a really cool design, and I was really impressed by it. It has the ability Synchronize, which allows it to pass back status moves that was given to it. And also, being an evolution, it has access to a bunch of great moves, such as Heal Bell, Baton Pass, Yawn and Wish. It can also use moves to set up such as Curse, and has a nice recovery move in Moonlight. Its stats are really nice too. With a great special defense stat and a high HP, it can keep going for a while. Next on the list is my Dragon type, and for me it's got to be Garchomp. Garchomp's a really powerful dragon, and it's the Pokemon of the champion Cynthia. It has a really awesome design, and I always call mine Jarvis. It also has two nice abilities, but the more common one is Rough Skin, which allows it to do recoil to its opponent if they hit it with a physical move. It's able to run a number of different sets, being able to set up Stealth Rocks and Dragon Tail opponents away, causing various damage. It can also run Life Orb or Choice Scarf. It has a nice speed and a really good attack stat, and has access to moves such as Sword Dance, Stabbed Earthquake, Stabbed Dragon Claw or Outrage, but can also learn a variety of other moves, such as Fire Blast, giving it the ability to have the element of surprise. Next on my list is my Grass type, and I'm going to pick Celebi. I always call Celebi Time Flux, and to me it's one of those mysterious Pokemon. It's kind of cute, but also kind of powerful, being able to drift through time. It's got a nice ability in Natural Cure, which allows it to remove statuses when it's switched out from battle, and it can also learn a variety of moves, such as Leech Seed, Thunder Wave, Zen Headbutt, Giga Drain, Recover, and Heal Bell. Its stats are all even, allowing it to be run in a number of different sets, such as Defense, Special Defense, or a mixed attacker. When you see a Celebi, you never know what to expect. Next up is my Ground type, and I'm going to pick Swampert. Way back in 2007, I started calling my Swamperts Megapert, which is quite funny considering now it has a Mega Evolution. Swampert's one of those Pokemon that I didn't really like at first, but it grew on me over time. Its stats are really even, and being a water ground type means it only has weakness to grass types. It has a number of different moves, such as Stabbed Waterfall, Stabbed Earthquake, it can Roar Shuffle, Power Up Punch, and Ice Punch. Next up is my Ice type, and I'm going to go with Weavile. Weavile's got a really awesome design, and there's not many people out there that I know that don't like it. It looks like it can put out some serious damage. I can't really remember the name of what I used to call mine since it's been so long since I used one, but from now on I think I'm going to go with the name Shade. Unfortunately, it doesn't have very good abilities that can be used competitive wise, but its stats make up for that, having really good speed and nice attack. When ran with a Life Orb, it can put some serious work in. It has access to moves such as Knock Off, Ice Shard, Fake Out, and Low Kick. Or if you want to get really quirky and see a lot of dual screeners, you could use Brick Break, as Brick Break shatters both screens. Next up on the list is my Electric type, and I'm going to have to give it to Raichu. Raichu used to be my favourite Pokemon, Unfortunately, Raichu didn't have a nickname, as it always came from a Pikachu, and Pikachu used to always be called Sparky for me. I really should give Raichu a personal nickname, but at the moment I can't think of one, and for the longest time I've not really used one in battle. Raichu has the ability of Static, or Lightning Rod. Lightning Rod being preferred, as it makes you immune to electric attacks and also gives you a special attack raise. It's not the greatest Pokemon competitively, but it has access to Stabbed Volt Switch, and it can also learn Knockoff, which can come in handy. Next up is Fairy, and for me, Fairy has to be Togekiss. My Togekiss's nickname was strung together through a random chaining of letters. It ended up being Timusa. I really used to like Togekiss's typing as it fit really well in one of my other teams, but now it's Fairy, it can easily fit into this place on this list. Togekiss has the ability of Serene Grace, which doubles the secondary effects of any of your moves. Pair that along up with its Stabbed Air Slash, and that gives you a 60% chance to flinch if you're faster than your opponent. It can also learn T-Wave, Aura Sphere, Shadow Ball, Flamethrower and Roost, making it a really strong Pokemon competitive wise. Next up on our list is our fighting type, and I'm going to go with Heracross. For those who watch my Let's Play series, you'll know that I always call my Heracross Blitzer, and it's a Pokemon that I'm really fond of. Heracross has two great abilities in Moxie and Guts. Guts giving it a 50% boost to damage when inflicted by a status condition, and Moxie giving it a +1 attack when it knocks out a Pokemon. Pair that up with a Choice Scarf and you've got a valuable sweeper. Heracross gets two powerful stab moves in Mega Horn and Close Combat, making it really dangerous on the battlefield. Next up is our normal type. My normal type is going to be Blissey. I've always liked Blissey ever since playing Silver. Blissey is a really powerful Pokemon that has the highest HP stat in the game. Pair that up with its special defense and things can get kinda crazy. Like Celebi, its ability is Natural Cure, allowing it to switch out of the battle and remove status conditions. The nickname I gave mine was Flopsy, because it kinda looks unbalanced. It learns a nice variety of moves such as Aromatherapy, Wish, Thunder Wave, Toxic and Seismic Toss, but also gets access to Counter, which if you invest into defense can catch your opponent off guard. Anyway, moving on. Poison type. The Poison type I've selected is Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur was the first Pokemon that I ever got, and is my favourite starter. I always nickname it Bulba, despite the evolution line, and I really like its design, as with many of the guys on this list. Its abilities and stats are not too great, but it has to be on the list, since it was the first guy I ever got. Let's move on to Psychic types, and the Psychic type I've selected is Mewtwo. Unfortunately I don't really use Mewtwo in battle, so I don't have a nickname for it, but it's one of those powerful Pokemon that deserves some credit. It's the big boss of the first movie, and it's also the last static counter that you encounter in Red and Blue. Unfortunately it doesn't have a very good ability, but its stats make up for that for competitive play. It has a wide selection of moves such as Psychic, Psystrike, Shadow Ball, Recover, Barrier, Flamethrower, and there's a variety of others. Let's move on to Fire type, and the Fire type I'm selecting is Infernape. I always liked Infernape since the first time I saw it, but after seeing it in the episodes I liked it even more. I always nickname my Infernape Jippy, and Infernape has a number of things it can do. It has the abilities Blaze and Iron Fist, Iron Fist being able to increase the power of its punching moves. It has access to some great moves, and can run a variety of different sets. It has great stats, allowing it to take a number of different roles in the team, such as a setup Pokemon or a mixed sweeper. Some of the moves it gets are Fake Out, Vacuum Wave, Close Combat, Overheat, Grass Knot, U-turn, and Endeavour. Flying type. I know we've already got one dragon on the list, but I had to add another, and that's Salamence. Salamence looks intimidating and powerful, and I prefer its shiny sprite because of the colour layout, and I always call it Zoops. It has two great abilities in Moxie and Intimidate, but personally I prefer Intimidate as it allows you to lower your opponent's attack, possibly forcing a switch and allowing you to set up or get a free attack on the field. Salamence has a solid attack stat, but could also be run as a mixed sweeper. It gains moves such as Dragon Dance, Roost, Fire Blast, Earthquake, Stone Edge, and Outrage. Speaking of intimidating Pokemon, moving on to our next is our Ghost, and for me it's got to be the original Ghost, Gengar. Gengar's one scary Pokemon, and I always call mine Shadow. Even though there's little difference, I always prefer the shiny sprite. In the episodes, Gengars are insane. They can pull souls out of bodies and all sorts of other crazy stuff, which is another reason that it's added to this list. Gengar's abilities levitate, making it immune to ground type attacks, which covers one of its weaknesses. It also has really nice stats in its speed and special attack, and has a crazy amount of moves it can learn. When you see a Gengar, you should give a second thought to what it can have. It can learn moves such as Perish Song, Destiny Bond, Thunderbolt, Shadow Ball, Sludge Wave. It can also learn moves such as Sucker Punch, and also Fit Punch via Ice and Thunder. If you want to be really quirky, you could try that set, but I don't really advise it. Next up is Rock, and our Rock type is Tyranitar. I used to call my Tyranitar Juggernaut, but I kinda got bored of the name and referred back to T-Tar. T-Tar looks really powerful in its design. It's one of those Pokemon that you don't really want to mess with. Its ability is Sandstream, which allows it to set up a sandstorm that damages non-rock and steel type Pokemon for the 5 turns that it's out, or 8 if boosted with the item, which I believe is Smooth Rock. The sandstorm also increases rock type Pokemon's defense by 50%. T-Tar's stats allows it to be run in a number of different ways. It can be run up as a setup guy or a mixed sweeper. It gains access to some moves such as Curse, Dragon Dance, Crunch, Stone Edge, Earthquake, Stealth Rocks, Fire Blast and Ice Beam. No prizes for guessing what my favourite steel type is, as it's my favourite Pokemon and the mascot of our channel. If you didn't guess it by now, it's Metagross. I have 2 nicknames that I usually give my Metagross, depending on the set I'm running. The ones you'll always see are either Quicksilver or Silvergross. Pretty soon after getting my first shiny Metagross, it became my favourite Pokemon, and I'd go as far as to say that it's my favourite shiny out of all of them. Metagross's stats are really nice, but its most outstanding is its physical attack. It also gets the ability Clear Body, which stops your opponent from reducing your stats. So moves such as Intimidate and the likes won't lower your attack. Metagross could be run either physically or specially, but it really shines in its physical attributes. Some of the moves it can learn are Meteor Mash, Bullet Punch, Thunder Punch, Ice Punch, Earthquake, Agility, Flash Cannon, and Psychic. Last but not least is my favourite water type. My favourite water type is Gyarados. I always call my Gyarados Zigzag because of the shape of it. And I also prefer the shiny sprite, just because of the story in Silver where you get a free one. I kinda got attached ever since then. The nostalgia. Like Salamence, Gyarados' abilities are Moxie and Intimidate, and yet again I prefer Intimidate, for the same reasons I preferred them on Salamence. Some of the moves that Gyarados can learn are Dragon Dance, Waterfall, Stone Edge, Substitute, and Taunt. Well, I got to the end of my list guys, but I hope that you make a list too. And if you make a video about it, or if you post on PokeAmino, go ahead and send me the link so I can check it out, because I'm really interested in seeing what your favourite Pokemon are too. If you've enjoyed this video, or if you've learnt something, go ahead and hit that like, share and subscribe. That's all for this video guys, so I'll see you in the next one.